It's a South-South knowledge exchange and learning program. We work with research centers in Latin America and in Africa on collaborative comparative research on different development policies and practices in the two continents. And then we also conduct learning alliances, which are online and offline knowledge exchange and learning programs to reach out to the likely users of that knowledge in the expectation that that will help inform their policies and practices in Africa and in Latin America.
I think it's a great program. I think there's too little learning that does happen, certainly between regions. Within regions, I think there's quite a lot of learning, but between regions, there's not so much. And I think this is a good way to sort of encourage learning.
I think that one of the best things about the ELA project is the idea that it offers African countries that are mostly English, French, Portuguese speaking an opportunity to learn from a largely Spanish-speaking continent. Countries have different histories, obviously, but in each of the continents there are specific problems that we are encountering and resolving in different ways. So this allows us to look at the ways in which Latin America resolves issues that may be similar in the African context, and we can figure out whether the options that they provide are better options to that which we have thought about.
Definitely, I believe that there are a lot of lessons to learn by Africa, African academics, African policymakers, African politicians from Latin America countries. But I also believe that there are indeed lessons that Latin American academic researchers and policymakers and politicians can learn from Africa. In many ways, Latin America is ahead of Africa, and we probably have more lessons to learn from them than they have to learn from us. But the partnership to me is a very strategic design, and I think it is really going to help.
I think we all know that there are valuable lessons to be learned and to be shared, but the main challenge is to learn how to communicate this. So I would say the main objective is that to generate knowledge and learn how to communicate that knowledge between two different regions.
Sharing these experiences allows us to identify which are the main obstacles that countries are facing, also to identify if there are similar contexts, to reflect on our possible solutions that we can have. And at the end, I think the most important is that you can learn from each other. It's a way to create and strengthen knowledge.
I think there's two things in particular about the ELA project that I think are very unique and that I'm particularly enjoying very much. One, of course, and the most obvious is the comparative nature of the research that's happening here. It's not just comparative, it's collaborative. So you can have one researcher go to a few countries and do comparative research. Here we have different people from different research centers in different parts of the world collaborating to do the same project.
And the ambition of the ELA program has to do also with the linkage between research and policy making. No? I am convinced that the South-South dialogue not only has an enormous potential from the point of view of the research dimension, but more importantly from the point of view of policy making.
I think the ELA2 program is one of the most challenging and innovating programs of research that I've ever been involved in. Normally, policy-relevant research stays pretty close to home. What we've asked scholars and research centers from Latin America and Africa to do is to travel across oceans to try to identify shared problems and arrive at solutions. This is amazing, challenging work.
So if you'd like to hear more about the ELA program, please just click on this link.